was rejected and despised by his own brothers. And then he was sold for pieces of silver by Judah, came up with that plan. The name Judas derives from the name Judah. And then he was handed over to the Gentiles. And now he's in the Gentile land here in Genesis 39. So let's look at the scripture. So now Joseph had been brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, the captain of the guard, an Egyptian, had bought him from the Ishmaelites who had brought him down from there. And the Lord was with Joseph, and he became a successful man, and he was in the house of his Egyptian master. His master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord caused all that he did to succeed in his hands. So Joseph found favor in his sight and attended him and made him overseer. So Potiphar made him overseer of his house, right? Of his house, and put him in charge of all that he had. From the time that he made him overseer in his house and over all that he had, the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. And the blessing of the Lord was on all that he had in the house and field. And so he left all that he had in Joseph's charge, and because of him, he had no concern about anything that he ate. Now Joseph was handsome in form and appearance. After a time, his master's wife cast her eyes on Joseph. And Joseph said to Joseph, lie with me. But he refused and said to his master's wife, behold, because of me, my master has no concern about anything in the house, and he has put everything he has in my charge. He is not greater in this house than I am, nor has he kept back anything from me except you, because you are his wife. How then, this is the heart of Joseph, and it's so awesome. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? So he's concerned about what God thinks Joseph is, not so much of what humans think, but what God thinks. And as she spoke to Joseph day after day, he would not listen to her or to lie beside her or be with her. So he was tempted here. And this is like Jesus is being tempted for 40 days and 40 nights by Satan. She's acting like Satan here. And remember, Jesus was tempted all that time. But here you can see it becomes a picture of the cross as well. But one day when he went into the house to do his work, and none of the men of the house was there in the house, she caught him by his garment. Oh my gosh. And saying, lie with me. But he left his garment in her hand and fled and got out of the house. And as soon as she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and had fled out of the house, she called the men of her household and said to them, see, he has brought this among us, a Hebrew, to laugh at us, right? To mock us, to laugh at us. And he came in to me to lie with me, and I cried out with a loud voice. So she's like declaring that he raped her or tried to rape her. And as soon as he heard that I lifted up my voice and cried out, he left his garment beside me and fled, and I got out of the house. And when she laid up his garment by her, then she laid up his garment by her until his master came home. And she told him the story, saying, the Hebrew servant whom you have brought among us has come into me to laugh at me. But as soon as I lifted up my voice and cried, he left his garment beside me and fled out of the house. She's totally lying. This is a false accusation. So here he's falsely accused, just as Jesus was falsely accused. Remember that? To this Pontius Pilate type, Potiphar. So as soon as his master heard the words that his wife spoken to him, this is the way your servant treated me, his anger was kindled. I think he knew that she was messing around on him, by the way she was. But his anger was kindled, and Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, the place where the king's prisoners were confined. And he was there in prison. This is a picture of the cross when Jesus was condemned, brought to that place of the condemnation, that place of judgment, right? But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him steadfast love and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. And the keeper of the prison put Joseph in charge of all the prisoners who were in the prison, and whatever was done there, he was the one who did it. And the keeper of the prison paid no attention to anything that was in Joseph's charge, because the Lord was with him, and whatever he did, the Lord made it succeed. Wow. So awesome. So this is a picture, this part of it is a picture of how Jesus came under the control of Pontius Pilate. God allowed that, right? And then he was falsely accused. There's also a picture of how Jesus was tempted for 40 days and 40 nights by Satan. This woman was tempting him. And there's even ancient Jewish literature which describes how she tempted him over and over, day after day after day. Here he is, a teenager, a young man, being tempted by this probably very beautiful woman, right? But anyway, this is a picture of Jesus all the way, his temptation, and then later the false accusation against him, and he's sent down into that place of the condemned, the cross. And his brothers, that part where his brothers were despising and rejecting him, that was also a picture of the cross as well. So, hey, we're going to continue in the series. Check out more. You can see it right here. See Jesus in the Old Testament. Click on this. You won't miss anything. I love you. Remember this. Jesus wins in the end. God bless you.